Alright guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Parker, and today we will be doing a video on my new terminal and mat from actually not too long ago. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today for a new model. So to kick things off, we have the JetBlue, which is JetBlue honors our veterans, or Vets in Blue, and that is landing from Fort Lauderdale. Pretty long flight. I think they're going to start upgrading it to the A321s. Not sure about that yet, so yeah. So next we have the Spirit A319 in the Bearfare livery, or Banana, and this will be going to Micah's Plane Spottings Airport, but then it will return, and then it will come back, and then it will go out for the later flight, which is Gemini Jet's 1975's airport, or Mark's Airport, well, Central Texas International Airport, so yeah. Next we have the Delta 717-200. That's about to head to Seattle. This flight is operated twice daily, and this is the morning flight, so yep. So next up on the Bravo lineup, we have the American Airlines 737-800 in the Chrome livery, which is third in takeoff, and that will be going to Dallas. Here we have the FedEx 767, which is the early morning arrival, around 5:30 a.m., pretty early flight from Memphis, and that is getting its bags, or well, cargo loaded on and off at the moment, and then it will go back out later tonight. Next we have the UPS 767, which just arrived from Louisville, and then that will start getting its cargo loaded off. Next we have the FedEx 767-300 with no winglets going out to Memphis. It is first in line for takeoff on runway 33 right. Next we have the JetBlue E190, which is in the barcode tail, and that is going out to Long Beach International Airport. Next up we have the United 787-9, and that is taking off for Gemini Jet's 555's airport. American 54, which is an A319, and that will be going out to Columbus, and this is becoming number 5 in the takeoff line for runway 33 left. Next we have the United 747-400, which will be going out to Amsterdam, and that's going to be pushed back in a few short minutes. Next on the international lineup, we have the Emirates A380, which is getting bags loaded off at the gate, and that just arrived from Dubai. Next up, we have the American 777-200, which is in the One World livery, and that is getting bags loaded on from at the JetBros Airport or Chicago International Airport. Next up, we have the American A330, which will be going out to London IK Airport, and IK Airport on Instagram. Next up, which is pulling into the gate from Montreal, is the WestJet 767. Next up, which is one of the new models, is the Lufthansa A330, and this will be the early morning flight, and that will be going out to Frankfurt shortly. Next up, we have the Lufthansa A340, which is getting bags loaded off from Frankfurt, Germany. Next up on the international lineup, we have the British Airways 777, which is pushing back for London Heathrow. Next up, we have the British Airways 777 in the Hong Kong livery, and this one is getting fueled up. Next up, we have the Japan Airlines 777-300, and that is holding short for Tokyo Narita, and this is in the One World livery. Next up, we have the Air Canada 787-9, and this just arrived from LAX, or Elite Lima's airport. Next up, we have the Frontier A319 in Jack the Rabbit livery, and this one just arrived from Cleveland. Next up, we have the American Airlines MD-80, which just arrived from DFW and is at gate. Next up, we have the American A321, which is at gate from Phoenix Sky Harbor. Next up, we have the Delta MD-88, which will be pushing back in a few short minutes for Salt Lake City. Next up, we have the Delta A320, which is getting bags loaded off from Salt Lake City International Airport. Next up, we have the Frontier A320, and this one is just about to push back for Denver International Airport. Next up, we have the Delta 757 in the SkyTeam livery, which is just about to push back for Atlanta. Next up, we have the Delta 737-800, and this one is just arriving from Seattle. Next up, we have the Delta 757-300, and this is getting catered from Detroit. Next up, we have the Compass Airlines, or Delta Connection E170, which is pushing back to San Jose. Next up, we have the Delta CRJ 200, which is getting passengers loaded off from San Diego. Next up, we have the American Airlines E-145 in the old livery, which is getting passengers loaded on and will push back for Palm Springs. Next up, we have the Delta Connection CRJ 700. This just came from Devers International Airport on _ Devers Aviation on Instagram, and this one had a gear failure, so it's going into the Delta Tech Ops hangar. Next up, being serviced, is getting repainted, is the Delta A319, and this is from Aeromax 31's airport. So a new addition to this airport that I put in recently is the Delta Tech Ops hangar, which can accommodate 2 aircraft, 1 wide body, and then 1 narrow body, which is the CRJ 700 and the Delta A319. So next up we have Air Force One, which is getting all the presidential personnel loaded off, and this just arrived from DCA. Next up we have the United Express E-145, and this one just came in from Las Vegas McCarran International Airport. Next up we have the Southwest New Mexico One, which just arrived from Indianapolis and is taxiing to its gate. Next up we have the Southwest 737 in the new livery, and this one just arrived from Phoenix and is taxiing to its gate. Next up we have the Air Canada 787, which is taking off 23 right and is bound for Montreal.